Thank you, my colleagues, and good morning. And good morning to the people of Guam. The Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing is back in committee hearings on Bill 282-35. We left off with Senator Lee, and then we'll get back with Senator Kelly immediately right after that. Senator Lee, if you can please speak on your amendment, and then we can move on this one, please.
Sidos Masi, Mr. Chair, and buenas colleagues and the people of Guam who may be watching. Mr. Chair, this amendment is being proffered at the request of Guam Department of Labor. And in order to help GDOL fill critical positions during their continued increased workload at this time of very high unemployment on our island. Mr. Chair, this amendment is to line 11, page 134, and I believe it's been in our folders and it was placed on the chat yesterday. So I'm not sure. It's a very simple amendment, Mr. Chair. This is to add a new subsection V to section 28 of chapter 12 of the bill to read V, Customer Service Representatives of the Guam Department of Labor. And it continues to allow legislative legal counsel to make technical corrections to the bill, to the amendment. And Mr. Chair, the specific unclassified jobs that GDOL is looking to fill are customer service representatives. These are employees that will help assist the incredibly large numbers of clients that this department now has. According to the Department of Labor, these employees will be able to assist all programs with the exception of the specialized tasks related to the alien labor process. So that's on the H2 side. We all know that this department has undertaken a monstrous task, and I'm asking my colleagues to help make it easier, not harder, for GDOL to adapt as our unemployment needs ebb and flow during this pandemic. And I'm open to any questions anyone has on this amendment, and I thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to do a small.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Senator Lee. Does anyone want to speak on that? If not, we're going to move to vote. I don't see any hands. I don't hear anything. Joe, let's do the roll call. Let's move on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment proffered by Senator Lee, page 134, line 11, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rangel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rangel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Okay.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz Barnes.
Okay.
Speaker Munoz Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Talahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Talahi, aye. Senator Pidot Talahi.
Again.
Senator Pidot Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano.
Again.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moreland.
Aye.
Senator Moreland, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitui.
Again.
Senator Taitui, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Mr. Chair, there are 15 aye votes on this amendment.
Thank you, my colleagues. The motion passes. It'll be engrossed into the bill. We're moving back to Senator Shelton, because we're going to go back to Senator Kelly, but Senator Shelton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I have a very simple amendment for page 134.
Senator Shelton, I would love to entertain you, but I already committed to Senator Kelly, and we just want to close her and be done with it. Okay? Thank you. Senator Kelly, please.
Situs Masi, Mr. Chair. So I went ahead and put the amendment back in the chat box, and we do have the commission waiting on the side to be let in to answer any questions or make their case for themselves on this bill. But I'd like to do a bit of an intro because it's been a while since we went over sort of this whole situation with the different bills that are amendments, sorry, that I'm proffering. So
Just focus on this one.
okay, so for this one, we were looking a little bit at the concept of a nonprofit. So being a nonprofit is a zero-cost solution with a high level of accountability and transparency. We literally have dozens of nonprofits within our government agencies and other entities that have been running successfully for decades. GCC, UOG, DOC, DCA, CAHA, and GVB has announced that they want this also, this zero-cost solution to give them some options going forward in this very tough fiscal climate that we have. Part of the reason why we do have these dozens of nonprofits within our government is because of the extreme measures for accountability and transparency at different levels. Yes, locally, there is a certain degree of nonprofit status, but in order to get access to a much wider range of federal grants, one has to get the 501c3. And that is a much more rigorous process. It establishes a federally recognized nonprofit, and it goes through its own system of vetting and accountability and assurances. So another reason why this makes a lot of sense is, again, there is so much accountability and transparency on an annual basis. Nonprofits for the 501c3 and even our local nonprofits, they have to have an annual audit. They have to post their finances in the newspaper every year and make them publicly available. And then there's the additional safeguard of a governing board, which is public knowledge who's on it and so forth. And I remind everyone that the commission's budget was cut 22%. This is a solution that they proffered to fend for themselves, to roll up their sleeves to find grants for their programs. Right now, their funding, they don't even have enough to keep their lights on, like literally, their utilities are short.
Okay.
So as a government entity, there's also an amendment that I'm finalizing for them to apply for grants as a government entity, but just in comparison, there are different realms of what they can apply for. For here, as a 501c3, it's a much wider realm. And you know, if we give them authority as a government entity, those grants are so competitive. The last statistics I saw on it was that they maybe only have 5% chance of getting awarded. So I just want to give them every tool as possible. I want them to be, and they insist on being very accountable, very transparent in what they do. And we will have those assurances through the annual audit and a public publication of their finances.
All right,
So,
all right, Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, we got, who's that? Is that Ms. Arceo?
Yes, so it should be both
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Emery,
All right,
and then there should be Gahulu Antihope.
All right, Senator Kelly, I'm working this with Joe so we can get them on and we get Tom to swear them in. But under area of 501c3, that applies to grants, applies to even the businesses, okay? So I'm just gonna ask them a few questions because I'm quite versed in the 501c3 and pretty much all the nonprofits. So good education for the colleagues, but I have questions they're gonna have to answer and keep it simple so we can move along, okay? Joe, are we ready? We got the Sergeant Arms ready to come on. I don't see him here, but
We will have Sergeant at Arms in just a second.
Okay.
And while he's logging in, I'm adding Ms. Anne-Marie Arceo. She is also from Ikumishan, as well as the chairwoman of Ikumishan, former Senator Hope Cristobal.
okay, not a problem.
Sergeant at Arms is joining us at this time.
All right, good. Okay,
Uh,
can we see? Can we get Senator Hope Cristobal to please Senator Hope, please, you can turn it on. There you go. Thank you, Senator. Welcome. Hold on, and then the sergeant will ask you to lift your right hand. Where's Ann Arceo, please? There you go. Okay, Sergeant Arm, if you can please swear them in, swear in the two ladies.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I have both ladies please raise your right hand? Okay, under penalties of perjury, do you all affirm that any and all information that you provide, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Chair, they are both under oath.
Thank you, Sergeant Arms, and welcome, Senator Cristobal and Ms. Ann Arceo. I only have a simple question, or maybe two at the most. Have the Commission tomorrow ever approached revenue and tax on applying for the 501c3? Because I know it is available there at revenue and tax.
No, we have not yet.
Okay, as Ann, maybe you have, maybe have any one of you two ladies ever go to the internet on the IRS, because it is available in the IRS to be able to load up? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Have you looked it up?
I
Okay, and the only reason why I'm asking that is because it's very important that if this body grants that leeway to get you a nonprofit and it's 501c3, we need to understand that all the requirements of IRS and Guam law, which mirrors IRS, you need to be in compliance. There won't be very little room. And just to let you know, you'd have to apply for employer's identification number, which is through the IRS. And you know the mechanism. I think Senator Hope is aware of that. She's been through this before already. So I just wanted to make sure you understand.
Yes, and if I could just offer a point of information, they didn't have the authority to really seek that status, and that's why we're visiting it here. But as you do mention, Senator Hope has experience with 501c3, and I think she's part of several organizations that have that status.
Okay, Senator Kelly, but authority is not needed. You don't need authority to seek the information, okay? I just want to make that very clear. It's available in the web, and it's available at revenue tax. But we'll go ahead and continue. If anybody has any questions for the two beautiful ladies here that have joined us.
Mr.
Senator,
Chairman.
I'd like to, I'm sorry, Dispenser Sana. I'd like to add that I have run Chief Oral Academy for 15 years, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. So I'm very knowledgeable about this.
All right, see, that's already one, and I know Senator Hope is very knowledgeable. Senator Hope, please.
Mr. Chairman, Jesus Masi, before we pass this section on the Commission, I just would like to ask if we could include under the authorization amendment. I'm sorry, but I didn't catch you when you were discussing this. We would like to, for the inclusion, to be able to receive material assets like donations, equipment, etc., as part of the authorization amendment.
So if I could just convey, Senator Hope, that is in a separate amendment. So we will tackle that and bring it before this body for their review, but it's in a separate amendment. This one, just since we're covering one topic at a time or one subject at a time, is just the nonprofit. All
right, thank you so much, Senator. We appreciate the help.
Thank you, Senator Hope. Does anyone else like to ask questions about the granting of the nonprofit status for Commission Pinoy Chamorro? I'm looking for hands. There being none. Senator Kelly, let's close and let's move and let's vote them in. I think
as they both mentioned, they both have a vast amount of experience with 501c3, and so they are very experienced, right? And they have continued their authority with working with GCC to take care of procurement. So again, they get a lot of expert guidance. they have a lot of expertise and experience in these realms themselves. There is that annual audit for accountability. There's the public publishing of their finances. So I just feel that there is a lot of accountability and transparency and a lot of experience that they bring to the table in pushing this forward. And I really commend them for, you know, they didn't complain at all that all of their programming funding was cut. They got a really deep cut of 22%. Right now I'm looking for money just so that they can keep the lights on. And they said, you know, it's okay. If you can try to help us keep the lights on, we will take care of all the programming ourselves by looking for grant funding. And so I just want to give them tools to be able to do that.
All right, thank you, Senator Kelly. Senator Lee, she already closed, ma'am?
I apologize, Mr. Chair. So that was her closing?
That's correct. That was her closing.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Joe, let's do the roll call. Let's move.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment by Senator Marstachino on page 34. Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Peter Lahi.
Again, por favor.
Senator Peter Talahi, aye. Senator Marstachino.
Again.
Senator Marstachino, aye. Senator Castro.
ABD. Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moreland.
Aye.
Senator Moreland, aye. Senator Munoz.
Again.
Senator Munoz, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Again.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye votes.
Thank you, my colleagues, and thank you, Senator Hope and Senora Anne Marie. And then as we move along to the other issues, I don't believe you need to come back in. You've already made a statement exactly what you needed to be added on, and Senator Kelly has taken note of that. That being said,
If I can provide a point of information, Senator. So with the other
I hope it's not about what we just passed. You're going to be able to speak again. Let me just close this part, all right? And then I'll bring you back on, Senator Kelly. The amendment passes. It'll now be engrossed into the substitute bill 282-35. Senator Kelly, you have the floor again.
Sidus Masi, I will put the next amendment in the chat. So I was just mentioning that I'm asking them to continue to be on standby because there is that another amendment that Senator Hope referred to, and that's they're also seeking the ability as a government entity to receive material assets and to be able to write government grants as well. So I'm asking them to stay on standby. But I have a very similar amendment for CAHA as well. And so Gillette Leon Guerrero should be on standby in case there are any questions. But with this amendment, it is also asking to reinstate their nonprofit status. So over the years, as I understand it, and we're still trying to trace all the steps, but they have had a nonprofit status in the past, but we've gone through many transformations of the division. It was under an umbrella, it wasn't under an umbrella, so now it's again not under an umbrella. And I think with all of those transitions and different directors and non-directors and so forth, that the nonprofit status, which I believe it needs to be upkept every year, was not upkept during those transitions. And so we have a director who, just like the two previously, has a vast amount of experience with federal grants, has a vast amount of experience with the 5103 status. And so they're just simply asking to have that ability back because they are in the same situation. They also got, I think it was a 20% cut along with the territorial ban. And so it's, yeah, I'm seeking funding a little bit later to try to just also have them pay rent, keep the lights on, and have matching for their federal positions. But again, they're willing to do the work to go out there and look for program support and other things to serve our community in a multitude of ways during this hard time. It's a time when, you know, maybe we think of arts and humanities as something pretty, but really it does so much more than that. It's about our mental health and well-being. It's about relieving stress. It's about being part of the solution. It's about giving our artists help as entrepreneurs and being part of our economic recovery. It's all of those things and more. And so I ask that the senators really recognize that they're all of those things to our people and our community. And again, they're part of that GVB's shift for authenticity, because that's what travelers are going to be looking to experience, is an authentic experience. And our local artists, Chamorro and non-Chamorro, they provide an amazing experience for visitors when they come here, as well as all of us in our festivals and our daily lives and so forth. So I asked for the same consideration for them to have a nonprofit status. And do you need me to read this again or
No.
this amendment? Okay.
No, I'm hoping you'll just read your amendment, ma'am. I think everybody's
Well, that's what I was
well
asking. Do you need me to read it? Okay.
Yes,
So,
read the amendment and then let's
yes,
move on this
very
discussion,
good.
please.
Line 23, page 134. A new section 34, and this will be technically corrected to the proper section number, is added to chapter 12 miscellaneous provisions to read. Section 34, creation of the Guam Council of the Arts and Humanities Foundation Nonprofit Corporation. A new subsection 85113.1 is added to chapter 85, title 5, Guam Code Annotated to read as follows. Creation of the Guam Council of the Arts and Humanities Foundation Nonprofit Corporation. CAHA is hereby authorized to establish a public not-for-profit corporation that shall be separate and apart from the government of Guam and CAHA for the purpose of being able to accept private gifts, donations, endowments, grants, and other monies which may be offered to the CAHA. Such gifts, donations, endowments, or grants, supra, shall be in accordance with the laws of Guam and subject to reasonable conditions. Such funds received shall be deposited into a fund controlled by the corporation, supra, and shall be known as the Guam Council of the Arts and Humanities Foundation, and then to allow legislative council to make any necessary corrections.
Okay, thank you, Senator Kelly. Simple question I have, and before Senator Lee, go ahead, and then I'm going to ask the question because I'm very familiar with the 501c3 and all the nonprofit. Senator Lee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I think the proffer of this amendment, I'm in support of the intent of it, but I did want to ask if this measure has had a public hearing in the same way that I asked about the nonprofit amendment that moved for the Commission.
Right, and you know, there are parts to this bill that are, I would say, even more complex that haven't had public hearings. I mean, we're here now.
My question, Senator, I'm just asking if this particular
it has not been written as a bill for the process, but as we're going through here, it's in front of the public, and people are allowed to ask any question they would at a public hearing. So it's a very similar process, but I appreciate your question.
I agree with you, but Mr. Chair, I just want to note for the record that, many of us have been accused over the last few days and weeks about circumventing rules and laws to be able to address issues, some common sense solutions, and in this case, a very common sense solution to support CAHA, to support things that we believe are important for future generations and for the people of Guam. And so I just wanted to take a moment to make a point that that's our prerogative as a legislature to make this kind of determination. And it's interesting, we need to be consistent. If this is what we're arguing, that we need to follow all of our rules and follow the laws, we just need to be very clear that that's what we're doing here. We're all aware that that's the way that we're moving forward.
All right. Thank you. Senator Kelly, simple question. You mentioned that CAHA had a nonprofit status and they lost it? Because I'm very familiar that hold on, Senator Kelly, let me just finish first. Because all I want is a simple answer, please. Revenue and tax, when they go over nonprofit folks, it takes years before they pull anything. Now, if they were registered of the IRS and they were pulled, they got before. I mean, I'm supporting of CAHA being nonprofit, but I just like to know not the excuse of because of the changes of the board, but more of what was the message that I actually pulled their nonprofit status, because that's not hard, that's not easy to pull it. There's a process, and it's a long process. So just real simple answers, please, not long ones.
Yeah, and that's where I would need the director of CAHA to come in, because she's been researching this. And so she's been trying to piece it together. And I would say that it's not an excuse, it's trying to find the reason. And so it's perhaps part of the reason why it wasn't maintained, but I'd like her to come on because we've only talked about it a couple of times. She's been trying to do research to find out herself. But again, I just want to highlight that she has a lot of experience in this area and has run a 501c3 for many, many years. I believe that's the status of our Humanitas Guahan. And she was one of the founding members, and it's successful all the way up until now.
Senator Kelly, I'm not questioning anything else but CAHA. Yeah. Okay, let's have a speaker first before we ask anybody to respond. Speaker, if you like, please.
On a point of information, Mr. Chair, if I may, based on this amendment, how would this impact like the Guam Museum and things like that? Because from my understanding, right now it's a government entity contracting out for services, and by making it a nonprofit, we'd be giving up our role in this entity. And I also feel like there may be unintended consequences, and I don't know, sir. Maybe we need a little bit more time. And like I said, I support the intent. I want to say I support the intent, but there may be just some unintended consequences there. So maybe that's a point of inquiry that we can check with.
Yes, and so I appreciate us giving this a close review, but CAHA is not associated with the museum. It is, as the executive order did, is it separated these. Now it was under DCA, well, and it is still under DCA. The museum hasn't been separated out from DCA, but CAHA used to sit alongside the museum, and now it sits separate to the museum.
Okay.
But again, I think the new director can answer both of these.
So who's the new director? Is that Anne Marie? Are you the new director, ma'am?
Gillette Leon Guerrero.
Okay, well, I don't think she's on. Is she on, Joe?
She should be on.
She's in the waiting room, sir, waiting your authorization to be admitted.
Okay, let's bring her on. And I don't think we'll need the Anne Marie or anybody else on Zoom right now. They can be pulled off until we need to pull them on when we need to. All right.
Thank you, sir. I will move them to the waiting room.
Okay, and let's bring on Gillette, and then we have Mr. Unso.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Gillette, can I have you raise your right hand? Okay, under penalties of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information that you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Chair, she is under oath.
All right, thank you and welcome, Ms. Guerrero.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if you heard some of the questions that were asked and maybe you can answer it. I don't know. Did you hear some of the questions that were asked?
Yes, I did. I actually have some remarks. Would it be appropriate to say those now, or should I answer?
Well, if you want to answer the question, what happened to the nonprofit status of CAHA and
yes,
in reference to the connection with the museum, we don't want. And if you're not,
okay,
if you're not connected no more, then it's good. But if you can please at least explain that part, so we have a warm and fuzzy feeling on how we want to be able to allow you to be back to be a nonprofit, please.
All right. Okay. My understanding from the research that I did that originally it was the Insular Arts Council, which was the precursor of CAHA, that had nonprofit status. And it wasn't until 1992, I think, that I found a letter from the Department of Revenue and Taxation that pulled, I guess, is the nonprofit status, and it was because because the organization had not provided any reporting requirements to Department of Revenue Taxation for perhaps like 4 years. So
okay,
yeah, so that's the reason why it was pulled, and it also became a government agency. So I'm as you know, I'm new to the government, so I'm not quite sure of all the ramifications of that, but that was, I did find a letter from Reventax.
All right, okay, and just for my colleagues' information, just so we all understand, all GovCom entities are considered nonprofit, and they're recognized by the government of Guam umbrella. And by separating CAHA from the government, you would be separated, and then you're hoping to be nonprofit, correct?
Yeah, not exactly. And this is, I just wanted to my understanding of the amendment was that CAHA will remain, but we will establish that there will be a non-government, non-profit foundation formed to support CAHA and sort of to fill in the gaps where CAHA can't, and to be more responsive to the community, because we have certain regulations because of our federal guidelines for instance, for grants that we provide. They have strict requirements, and let me explain a little bit. We just recently concluded 8 focus groups for our 5-year strategic plan. And so we heard from a diversity of the community about what they wanted CAHA to do. And so that's what I was going to tell you all about if I can speak. But part of that was that people felt that our grant program was too restrictive, and it was difficult for a lot of the underserved, the community in the underserved community to apply. So my feeling was that if we established a nonprofit foundation that supports CAHA, that not only would we be eligible for many more grants that are required by, that are only available to 501c3s, but we could also do programming that was more responsive to the community, and also it would help with the timeliness of things, because procurement, as I'm finding, is a very lengthy process, and it kind of holds up the progress of the organization. Also, it would provide some continuity in leadership and stability, because if you had a nonprofit, the leadership of that nonprofit would not be changed every time the administration changed. So you'd have at least some continuity in some of the programs, and somebody there that would know what was, what had happened in the previous years. Let me see. Yeah, so there are several reasons to create this, generating funds for CAHA to lessen the burden on the appropriations that we get would be wonderful. And the other thing that was part of the focus groups that was like across almost all 8 of them was the establishment of sort of an artistic hub and a facility that would bring all of the art together and to provide for the community a place where they could go and learn, where artists could exhibit, you could purchase things. And many places and cities have civic centers or places where the community can come together, but it also provides for tourism. And that is one of the goals. This is our 5-year strategic plan, so we're thinking long-term. That would be something that a nonprofit foundation would be able to help us with a capital campaign to raise funds to build such a site.
All right.
And I have a lot of information because of the focus group, so but we haven't finalized that yet.
All right, Ms. Gillette. I understand where you're coming from on the 501c3. All right. Does any of my other colleagues would like to speak to this? I'm looking for hands. Senator Sabina Paris, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Ms. Gillette. So yeah, it's not uncommon to have nonprofits and a nonprofit status and government agency, a nonprofit, public nonprofit affiliated with a government entity. So like DOE has their own, GMH has their own, so it does exist. But I'm just wondering, so, considering how the finances, I know there's a very strict requirement to make sure that the monies that come from the government must be accounted for separate from the nonprofit status. So if you can talk to that regarding how that is, what's the plan for that?
The plan, I'm sorry, for government?
So yeah, there are other examples where you have government entities, agencies that also have a nonprofit, let's like friends of the DOE or friend, that sort of thing, right? So it's very important when you're dealing with finances that you have to keep those two things separate. So
Yes.
are you aware of those protocols, and how are you going to separate that?
I know that, like I said, I'm new to the government, so I'm not familiar with all of the procedures yet. But for the nonprofit, and we're talking about a separate nonprofit from CAHA that would support it. So it would be completely separate. So the 501c3 requirements are pretty strict. You need to report and have basically an audit every year. And I know that we did receive federal funds. You can receive federal funds for nonprofits, and the requirements for those are also very strict. So I imagine, I'm just trying to think if any of the organizations that I was with received Government of Guam funds, but I'm sure that yes, it would be kept separate. Just so you know, I have experience with organizations that have actually almost lost their funding because of mismanagement. When I was at the Humanities Council, they after I left, they had twice it happened after I left. They had embezzlement issues, and the feds basically shut them down. And they asked me to come back to restore the organization, and which I did do. So I'm familiar with, issues of finances and that type of thing. But I would have to, I can't answer that question because I'm not as far as the government, but I know that I have experience with federal funds and also the funds that the organization raises itself.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions to pose to? I guess there's no question. Senator Kelly, if you can please close and let's move to vote. All right, Senator Moylan, hold on, Senator Kelly.
No question, actually, Mr. Chair, but I do just want to make a comment that I do support the intent of this amendment, and especially since we know that not all these provisions on this budget bill have had a public hearing, especially the most recent one, just like the G3 initiative. So I just wanted to note that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Senator Kelly, if you can quickly just close and we can move to vote. Or you don't need to close, actually, if you don't want.
Yeah. Just a quick sentence. So, I just think the experience speaks for itself. CAHA has done great things for our community, but I don't know that it's ever had a strategic 5-year plan and has reached out for focus groups. So, I think that this just really speaks to the level of experience, the level of accountability, the level of detail that this director brings to the table. And we know that the board is comprised of very respected artists and cultural masters. And there's just a whole lot of integrity and accountability, both because of the requirements of the Guam law and because of the experience that they've shown us. So I please ask for consideration to give them some additional tools to be able to weather out this fiscal storm along with the rest of the government of Guam.
All right. Joe, would you please do the roll call, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the motion by Senator Marstaitano regarding the nonprofit for CAHA, Chairman Agustin.
Thank you. Aye.
Chairman Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajal.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajal, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Talahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Talahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi.
Again.
Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator Marstaitano.
Again.
Senator Marstaitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitugui.
Again.
Senator Taitugui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye votes.
Thank you, my colleagues. The amendment will be engrossed into the budget bill. Thank you, Ms. Gillette. Have a nice day and be safe. Thank you for your participation. Senator Kelly, do you have anything else left? Otherwise, we need to move on this, okay? And we need to reduce our time of discussion, and all the senators are well aware of all the intent.
Yes, so I have another amendment that's in the chat, and I apologize that I have a tendency for run-on sentences. I said it was one sentence and it was a very long one, so I apologize.
Yes, I'm gonna call you on that next time, all right? So yeah, for one
As
sentence.
does everyone else, yes.
All right, thank you. Please, what is your next amendment, ma'am, so we can move on it? But there's other senators have amendments.
Yes, so let me go ahead and pull this one up for myself as well. This one is, this one is for the Department of Parks and Recreation. So as we've discussed, the Department of Parks and Recreation, along with, the other agencies, has its fiscal challenges. It got a 7.3% cut, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's adding on to the fact that it's been stripped down and pared down over the years. And we all know it's really struggling to meet its very large mandate. We hear about it constantly. So again, I'm also trying to give them every tool I can, just like others did with allowing for retired educators and retired police officers. That was very commendable and laudable. It's a very good solution. But for here, there aren't a whole lot of retired maintenance workers or retired park administrators to call upon to have that be the type of solution. And so we do have other places in the government where we have a volunteer corps. And so it's to give them the bare minimum authority, if you will, of starting to develop a plan and rules and regulations for a volunteer corps. And it has a lot of transparency. Transparency and accountability was really important to me. And so for that, the process that it is just giving them the authority to start that plan, to get the rules and regulations, to work with their commission on it, but it has to go through the AAA process. It has to follow it as required by law. It's going to be reviewed by DPR and the board. The governor has to approve it. It has to have a public hearing, and it will be up to us to have that final approval authority. So it will absolutely go through our.
Senator Kelly, can you please read your amendment, please? Thank you. We need to hear your amendment.
Yes, so thank you for allowing me to have an opening statement.
Stand by. Senator Tello, you're looking for the amendment, correct? Right.
Yes, on the chat, the Zoom chat, please.
Oh, okay. I'll put it on the Zoom chat as well. I know sometimes our
Let's move on the amendment, Senator Kelly. Thank you for your opening, but we need to reduce the amount of minutes we're doing that. Okay, please.
Yes.
OFB can load it. Just proceed.
Oh, yes. If OFB can load that into the WhatsApp chat, that will save time in the long run as well.
And what page
just read your amendment, please. Just read your amendment.
Yes, so this says line 23, page 134, to add a new section of the bill to read. A new subsection 77208 is hereby added to Article 2, Chapter 77, Title 21 of the Guam Code annotated to read. Subsection 77208, Civilian Territorial Park Patrol Officer Reserve. A, creation. There is hereby created within the Department of Parks and Recreation of the Territory of Guam, the Territorial Park Patrol Officer Reserve, which shall be headed by the Director. The Director, subject to the advice and direction of the Commission, shall be responsible for carrying out the purpose of this chapter and shall have such duties as authorized by rules and regulations or as may be prescribed by the Commission. B, rules and regulations. The Director shall have the authority to amend and create rules and regulations to implement and maintain the Territorial Park Patrol Officer Reserve in accordance with the Administrative Adjudication Act. And then there's also, because I have many names, to add a new section of the bill to read, a new subsection 77209 is hereby added to Article 2, Chapter 77, Title 21 of the Guam Code annotated to read. Subsection 77209, Beautification and Maintenance Volunteer Reserve. A, creation. There is hereby created within the Department of Parks and Recreation of the Territory of Guam, the Beautification and Maintenance Volunteer Reserve, which shall be headed by the Director. The Director, subject to the advice and control of the Commission, shall be responsible for carrying out the purpose of this chapter and shall have duties as authorized by rules and regulations or as may be prescribed by the Commission. B, rules and regulations. The Director shall have the authority to amend and create rules and regulations to implement and maintain the Beautification and Maintenance Volunteer Reserve in accordance with the Administrative Education Act and to allow legal to make any necessary corrections. So I just remind everybody, it comes back to us for the final authority.
Thank you, Senator Kelly. Bottom line, my colleagues, is just to establish the Volunteer Reserve and the Territorial Park Patrol Officers Reserve. That's really the key to it all. And it's got to go through the AAA before anything goes. Correct, Senator Kelly? That's really the bottom line.
Absolutely. So we have final
Very
say.
simple. That's it. Thank you. Anybody would like to speak to that? I don't know if she brought it up before in previous budgets and other discussions about the reserve force in the park rangers, in the park, DPR. Anyone would like to speak to that? Senator Torres, please. And then Senator Kelly. I mean, Senator Lee. Correction. Senator Torres, then Senator Lee.
Mr. Chair, I believe that this is deeper than it appears on its face, and it really warrants, in my opinion, a public hearing, especially since it involves Parks and Rec. And so it's a very good thing, but I don't believe that it should be inserted in the Budget Act. It should have its own course. And we'll be successful after a public hearing, I'm sure, but it needs to go through that process, in my opinion.
All right, Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with the retiring speaker.
All right, does anyone else like to make a comment on this before we move to vote or for a decision of Senator Kelly on withdrawing it to create the bill? Do we have a hearing? Anyone else? Hold on, Senator Kelly. Let me ask the colleagues first, please. Anyone else? I'm looking for hands. There being none, Senator Kelly, please close or.
Suzuki Masi. And so again, it's simply to get the ball rolling. We've had director after director after director, and we're trying to help him be focused. He is focused. He is very solution oriented. And we just want him to start developing the plan and the rules. It will absolutely have a public hearing. I agree. Those rules and regulations should have a public hearing, and we need to hear that plan. So this is just to tell him to sit down and start thinking and talking and working out a plan that we will absolutely get to review. We will absolutely have come before the public, and we will absolutely have a public hearing on. So again, I'm just looking for tools that I can for the agency, and I ask my colleagues for their consideration for this tool that has no real money attached to it at this point.
All right, Joe, would you do? Somebody's is live. Joe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Take the roll call, please, and let's move on this bill, on this amendment, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment by Senator Marx-Titano, Chairman San Agustin.
Pass.
Chairman San Agustin, pass. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Pass.
Vice Chair Shelton, pass. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Pass.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, pass. Senator Lee.
Ahi.
Senator Lee, nay. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi.
Again.
Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator Marx-Titano.
Hungen.
Senator Marx-Titano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Ahi.
Senator Munya, nay. Senator Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Senator Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Pass.
Senator Perez, pass. Senator Torres.
Nay.
Senator Torres, nay. Senator Taitugui.
Nay.
Senator Taitugui, nay. Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, aye. Senator Perez.
Ahi.
Senator Perez, nay. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 10 ayes and 5 nays.
Thank you, my colleagues. Senator Kelly, that amendment passes. It'll be engrossed in the budget bill. Senator Kelly, do you have any more, please, because we have others that are waiting.
Yes, and I truly thank everybody for their kind consideration. I've kind of had to wait till the end, and they're all bunched up. So the next one, I do have a couple more. The next one is for the commission, and the GeoPlace. There's authority, they're seeking to be recognized as the GeoPlace name point of contact. And so although there is some recognition in the law, this has not, in their discussions with the US federal geographic place names.
Ma'am, what is your amendment? I need to hear your amendment, and then you can do your opening if
Okay,
you
then
want,
I can do
ma'am,
my
so we can get
opening.
to this, please.
Yes, so if, let me find that one, sorry.
Yes, please. Please line up all your amendments so you can say
I
it out
tried my
quickly.
best,
All right,
yes.
thank you. How many amendments do you have total, ma'am? 2?
I believe I have 3 more.
All right, please line them up quickly and be ready to
Yes.
say it out, okay? Because we need to move on this. It's
Yes,
10:10 right now.
Yes, and I had them lined up, and so I too am surprised that this one's a little harder to find, so I apologize for that. And the other one.
Then go to the next one that you have so that you can find that as folks are talking, please. Let's go to the one you got and let's move on it. Senator Lee?
Mr. Chair, while the senator is looking for her amendment and to place it, for these next 3 amendments, if she could just, in her opening, let us know if it's had a public hearing or not, that would save me the chance of asking it. She could just get it out of the way.
All right, thank you. Senator Kelly, if you're still looking for your amendments, we're gonna move to other senators with their amendment and then come back to you. All right?
No, I have one that I will upload. It's, I was kind of saving the most complicated one for last, but I
No.
do have that one here, so.
Nothing is complicated, ma'am.
Well, it's
Let's
the
move
one
on
that
it,
we've
please.
talked about before. With
Okay.
the spreadsheet, this is the one of just trying to give CAHA the $89,000 that they need to match their federal grants. And, you know, I've spoken on it 2 or 3 different times. So this one, it is in the chat. And it's been broken up by page, so it's not as long as it looks, but it was to be able to follow the rule of finding an appropriation and de-appropriating and then reappropriating along the way. So the first part of this is on line 23, page 134, and it's to give CAHA the authority to use their own funds and not disrupt anybody else, but just to use their own funds. So a new section 31 is added to chapter 12, miscellaneous provisions to read. Section 31, use of FESPAC funds by CAHA. A new subsection 852A 2E is hereby added to Chapter 8, Title 1, Guam Code annotated to read as follows. E, notwithstanding any other provision of law, rule, or regulation, CAHA is authorized to expend the amount of up to $200,000 of subsection 852A 2C of Chapter 8, Title 1, GCA for its operations in FY 2021. So again, their budget was cut by quite a lot, over 20%, and they're actually $89,000 shy of being able to meet their federal grant and then the federal grant requirements of funding partially, having local matches to some of the federal positions that they have within their office. So this $89,000 gives them rent, utilities, and the ability to meet that federal matching grant.
All right, thank you. And does anyone would like to, Senator Kelly, you still have
Do you want to have them ask questions on each part or to go through all of it?
No, we're going to entertain with one amendment, ma'am, and then let's move, okay? Let the
Yeah, it
colleagues
continues
discuss this
on
one.
2 other pages. That's why I'm saying.
Oh, there's more
I
than
told
one
you
page?
it's complicated. You know, we tried to make it as simple as possible, but it just has different elements to it. So what that does
Mr.
is,
Chair, on a point of information, please.
Yes,
Because-
Madam Speaker, and
Point of
then,
inquiry, please, just because
okay,
the amendments sound really confusing. Did legal take a look at it just to see if it's bifurcated right or not, if it's several pages long? It's really important to
Senator
see.
Kelly, did you get with legal on this one, please?
I believe we worked with legal, but I will double check as I'm going through other things. I know that we worked with Senator Joe's office for about a week on this, and we have done our best to follow the rules of engagement. We worked with him, and I believe his office also worked with legal for guidance on how to do this.
Senator Kelly,
OSB worked with legal was my understanding on guidance on how to put this amendment together.
All right, stand by, Senator Kelly, stand by. Madam Vice,
Yes.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I don't see the amendment up on the Zoom chat. Would it be possible to get it there and discuss the amendment now?
Yes, and I will also, let's see, I will also work at putting the spreadsheet back in if I can. Oops, wait, let me get to the right committee on. So the amendment itself is going into the Zoom, and then I did have a spreadsheet that I uploaded the other day. Let's see. No, it's just gotten complicated with the different ones, but I did put it together in a spreadsheet so that we could see how these add up.
Senator Kelly, I need you to please be ready and to be
Yes,
able
I
to
have
explain it,
given this-
okay? Not us jump around, okay, please?
Yes, I had given this before. I'm just trying to provide it again. But
Mr. Chair, we could just let OFB do that. OFB load it up for us. They have all these amendments because we have them in the drive.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. We do have these files. However, we are experiencing what we just loaded right now is the latest we have on this file, on this amendment.
Can all my colleagues see exactly? Senator Lee, you have something? Because we still need answers, the Vice Speaker. Yes, Senator Lee?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just a point of order. When we began, Senator Marsh-Titano was speaking on an amendment regarding a sense of place and I believe CAHA. And so I'm just wondering if that relates to this amendment that's now in the Zoom chat. And if not, then we need to procedurally either go through the motions of withdrawing that amendment. I'm just a little bit confused as to how they come together. And I apologize if I'm not understanding this.
All right.
Was that a different amendment? Because it sounds like what we're discussing now is a reappropriation of the FESPAC funds to CAHA, and that doesn't sound like the sense of place that she was discussing at the very beginning. So I'm just trying to get a hold of everything.
yes, and it's important to have this be clear. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chair, that the chair asked me to move on to another amendment. So this is the one that I had available and I moved on to that. But if we need to do something procedurally, I am completely open to that.
No, Senator Kelly, what she's trying to understand is that number one, as the others that were passed, we're now discussing your amendment to CAHA. And if this is correct, it's line 23-134. It talks about, it's not an appropriation, but it's an authorization. That's what your amendment's all
That is-
about. It's an
that is
authorization,
true.
okay?
This
Okay?
beginning part of it is an authorization.
Let me just go down the list on your amendment so that our colleagues can understand. You're asking for an authorization. You're asking for this body to authorize the CAHA to use FESPAC money, and you're identifying it further on your that how it's to be used. Am I correct? Yes or no? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And then at the end of it, then it ends there, and then notwithstanding the balance of the funds appropriate to the Guam Territorial Band shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And then you continue on with the appropriate to CAHA and shall not lapse. Okay? It's very simple, right? Am I correct? Are we good?
Yes, so that's the first part of it. And so I seek your guidance as to whether you want me to now move on to the other parts of it and explain where the money goes, how it changes the totals for CAHA.
Senator Kelly, in your amendment, it describes it. You don't have to go into detail and explain it all. It pretty much says that, and I will allow you to explain it, but we just don't want to.
Right.
Just be,
No,
we have
it's
to
on
be
the
very
second
specific,
page.
okay?
You said to
Yes,
have
and
it
that's
all
part of your amendment.
together,
Yes,
and
Nay,
so
yes,
it's,
Nay, yes, Nay, Senator Kelly. I'm not debating with
I
you.
want to make sure
I'm
we're
just trying
saying the
to.
same thing.
Yes, we are. I just need you to stay focused that as you read it, do not need to talk about it. Just read it, and so that everybody
Okay.
can move on this. Okay?
Okay.
That's all we want to
so
do. We want to hear it
we
and
have-
move on.
We have read the section E. And then on the next page, we have on line 3, page 81, the Guam Council on the Arts and Humanities Agency. It changes their appropriation. So there is a de-appropriation of $89,000 to them, because it is now made up for in this amendment by the authorization to use their FESPAC funds. And that $89,000 is noted in being taken out of both the general fund and the tourist attraction fund. So from the general fund, it was $158,873. It now becomes $126,014. The tourist attraction fund now goes from $140,709 down to $62,845, for a grand total for appropriations of $188,859 from the former $299,582. And there's a correction to the federal matching grants and aid, which was larger this year, kind of surprisingly so. So it goes from $294,800 to $309,300. Then on the next page, the sum for the Guam Territorial Band is also augmented with some of the monies. So $45,000 is now applied to them, and it is appropriated from the Tourist Attraction Fund monies that were freed up. So it is now appropriated from the Tourist Attraction Fund to CAHA for the Guam Territorial Band. And there is the section there, as we've been doing for most all of our agencies, that B, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Guam Territorial Band in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And 3, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to CAHA in fiscal 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. It then continues on, and I do have, I will forward into our chat the spreadsheet so that those that didn't save it can have access to it again. So it's on the Committee of Appropriations chat, so everybody can look at it and follow along with this. So let me get back to where I was. So the next part of the amendment is line 2, page 74, to amend the section 1T of the bill to read, T, Department of Parks and Recreation. It changes their total sum from $3,619,569 to $3,652,428. It gives them, as we see on the spreadsheet, it gives them an additional $32,859. So this shows up in the summary of appropriation funding source. The general fund appropriation changes from $2,076,157 to $2,109,016. The next change is in the total, where it changes from $3,619,569 to $3,652,428. And then if we look at the next page at number 5, it is added in that there is a notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Department of Parks and Recreation in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. On the next page, we again have a very small amount being added to HRA. Line 3, page 88, to amend section 1GG to read GG, Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority, HRRA. The changes here are it adds the $16,579. So their appropriation is crossed out from $265,898 to $282,477. And again, this is augmented in the Tourist Attraction Fund, that it goes from, which is crossed out, $93,806 to $110,385. The total then becomes $265,898, which is crossed out, up to $282,477. And they too also have a federal, a number 2, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Hagatna Restoration and Redevelopment Authority in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and continue to be available until fully expended. Here we have on the next page, the last of them, and this is Commission Ifino's Moral. It is on line 3, page 89. And as we see on the spreadsheet, they had one of the largest cuts. And so they're just trying to restore themselves back to having the lights on. It will move $56,285 to them. So it crosses out the $398,249, and it now has a new total of $454,534. And if we look at the summary of appropriations funding source, this is now, the Tourist Attraction Fund monies are now changed. What was $140,709 is now $196,994 for a total of appropriations from $398,249 to $454,534. And again, they have the addition, and I believe this is the last page, so we have finally made it to the home stretch. of number 3, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to E-Commission in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And for each section, it allows them to, the Legislative Council to make any necessary corrections. And I apologize for the length of this amendment.
All right, thank you, Senator Kelly. Chairman San Agustin is back.
All right. Bottom line, OFB did work with Senator Kelly, and I spoke to legal. If OFB believes that that's the only way, legal has no problem with that, because OFB is going to put the numbers together, and then legal will take a look at the verbiage and make sure it's in sync. The whole intent of this amendment is to authorize the use of FASTPAC money. And if I'm correct, Senator Kelly, you got the board to agree with that, to use that. Just answer yes or no. Don't need to explain it, okay? Is to use the money and then be able to appropriate it from one area and spread it across to take care of all the agencies. Am I correct? Under your oversight and their own agreement.
Yes.
Okay, yes or no? Okay, thank you. Madam Vice, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, kudos to Senator Kelly for this extensive amendment. Probably the longest amendment I've seen in my life.
Yes,
but
same here.
I was just wondering, you know, I have issues, not issues, but I have concerns with the HRRA appropriation change. And is there a reason why we're increasing? Because I know that Steve already, you know, ensured us at the beginning of this budget bill and consistently that he has funded for all the warm bodies. And so is there a reason why we are continuing to increase HRRA funding levels, appropriation?
Yes, and that's an important question. So it's just giving them the ability to make sure that they can meet their rent, but also they do have certain office needs. And again, I talked with them very extensively about like the bare bones of what they need for, you know, a functional office. And thus far, they've been borrowing on the kindness, if you will, on others for things like copiers and so forth. And they are going to be moving into a facility which it makes it impractical to continue to borrow from the kindness of Gita in that. They're going to be located in Hagatna, and so it now puts some distance between, I think they maybe have also been getting wireless from Gita. So it allows them to make sure that they still have some functioning components of Xerox copying and you know, having access to the wireless internet and a few basics like that.
All right, thank you. And, you know, also my concern is that they refuse to come before the legislature. And so I'm just wondering if the move is going to cause a greater increase on the taxpayer dollars to fund them. And to this day, I don't know what they do. I haven't seen any real plans or projects put forth. If the move is going to cost more, I don't know why we don't just tell them to stay where they're at.
Well, and again, you know, we do want them to continue to be accountable, and I have had discussions with them on this. And so I try to make sure that somebody from my staff or myself attend each and every board meeting that they have to make sure that they are indeed making progress. So they are working very diligently to where they're hopefully in the last leg of this master plan review. And it's been a really important year of understanding how to make the language more viable before it has set everything in stone, and that's been a real problem, I would say, in many ways. And now they're making the language more flexible, understanding that the plan needs to be organic in nature and flexible in nature. So they're making some real sort of strides there. And we've also had long discussions about practical projects, about the people of Guam. They need to see something that's going to be a cost-saving measure, and they need to see the practical implications, not just the master plan, which talks about what's going to happen in the next 30 years. So they've really been trying to make the Department of Land Management building happen, and they're also looking at some of the administration buildings to actually have a groundbreaking in the next year. So we've really tried to work with them on practical outcomes.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to step over you, but I see the chair covering it.
Is there,
but I guess, Mr. Chair, I honestly feel that HRA, I haven't seen really anything concrete. I feel that we just created another arm of government years back to push a certain agenda. And I just feel that, that the government within itself are able to do the same tasks that HRA is, I don't know, trying to do for the past several years. I mean, I haven't seen anything concrete from it. And so I don't know, Mr. Chair, if I could do away with HRA, I would do away with HRA altogether.
All right, Madam Vice. Does anybody else would like to speak to this amendment proffered by Senator Kelly, please? And we can keep it short if possible. I don't see any hands. Anyone? Senator Sabina and then Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so Senator Kelly Marsh Titano, I just have a question regarding the change in the law. So I'm wondering that if on the first page of your amendment, it actually changes the GCA. Is that correct? And does it only apply for this particular year, or is it going to go beyond this year?
Senator Kelly, did you disappear on us?
Looks like it.
Oh dear, oh dear. I think she got bumped off with her internet up in Limit Hill. Senator Kelly? Joe, what happened to Senator Kelly?
We did lose Senator Kelly. We're monitoring her for readmission.
Okay. We'll give her 2 minutes. If she doesn't go, we're gonna have to pause on her amendments, because you have questions, so does Senator Lee, and we'd like to move on. Oy.
Also, perhaps, Mr. Chair, if I can talk to legal, I can also pose the question to legal.
All right. Okay.
If I get Kelly back.
Okay. Senator Lee?
Yeah, just some information for the body. Senator Kelly has messaged us on our chat and said that she got bumped out, and that Mr. Meskman is waiting for her to be readmitted.
Okay. I'm just trying to see who has the next amendment, and because if she's going to end up traveling all the way down to the Agania from Limit Hill, it's going to be a while. It's not going to be a 5-minute issue. Looking at our list, Joe, what's the next amendment other than Senator Kelly? Senator Kelly, please, Joe.
Mr. Chair, we do have one from the Speaker and Senator Shelton.
Okay, so while we're waiting for Senator Kelly, maybe we can get lucky and we can get Madam Speaker's amendment through, because I don't know how long it'll take for Senator Kelly to get back on. If she's having problems with she had problems all this morning. Okay, Senator Lee.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. I think we might have to have a motion to just set it aside until she comes back on, so we can make sure we get the agreement of the body.
All right, can we get a motion to set it aside until she comes back on and then we can catch up with her again?
So
Somebody
moved.
can make that. All right, are there any objection? I don't see an objection. If I need to take a roll call, I don't see an objection. I believe that we're gonna just set it aside unless anybody has an objection for me to direct that we go ahead and just move. Okay, nobody's objecting. Madam Speaker, if you can, please, let's see how fast your amendment goes through.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'll just read the amendment. It's to amend on page 134 to add a new section, notwithstanding section 4109C, Chapter 4, Title 4 of the Guam Code annotated employees working in the nursing services employed at the GMH Hospital Authority, nurses at the Department of Public Health and Social Services, and peace officers defined in section 51101B, Chapter 51, Title 17 of the Guam Code annotated, who have accumulated annual leave in excess of 320 hours as of September 30th, 2020, may carry over their excess and shall use the excess amount of leave prior to the retirement or termination from service. At the time of the retirement or termination of service, that portion permitted to be credited to sick leave shall be so credited, and the remainder of the excess leave, if any, shall be lost. Nothing here shall allow the lump sum compensation or retirement credit for annual leave in excess of the 320 hours. Nothing herein shall limit registered nurses from accruing leave in accordance with section 4109.1, chapter 4, title 4 of Guam Code annotated. And Mr. Chair, this would just provide the nurses and peace officers, having been working this pandemic for months and obviously have not been able to take their annual leave granted to them. And instead of penalizing them for not taking such lawfully provided leave, it would allow them to at least carry it over and not to lose it completely. So again, in this consideration, it was brought up to my attention and I thought I would just proffer it for them. And
yes, thank you. Are there anyone would like to discuss that? If not, it's to benefit and take care of our frontliners, our nurses and our public health folks, and peace officers. I don't think I don't see any hands. Can we please move Senator Sabina Paris, please? I can't hear you. Please unmute. There you go.
Just a point of inquiry. So does this apply only to this budget bill, or does this go over? Is this a change to the Guam Code annotated, or is this just apply to this year's budget bill?
It's just this year.
It's
based
just
on the amendment.
for this.
And then as far as like personnel regulations, does it fit with that as well? Has this
Yes,
been?
we have done this before.
Okay. So it's in line with personnel regulations. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Is there an amount? Oh, wait, sorry.
If you read the
Has there been
amendments, Senator Sabina, yeah.
Yeah. Is there any kind of fiscal
No.
impact in this one?
No, it's just the leave that they're supposed to take, because if you have the extra and you don't use it, you lose it. So it's just asking to transfer it over for this fiscal year so that they don't lose it. They're our frontliners, they're keeping us alive. And I'm just asking for that courtesy so that they don't lose it.
Yeah, I have no objection to that. I just wanted to kind of deconstruct it. So I appreciate your clarity. Thank you.
All right, does anybody else like to speak to this? Senator Therese, please. Senator Therese.
Thank you,
There you
Mr. Chair. Yes, I support the amendment. I understand the intent. I'm just afraid, it says peace officers and not really specific, but I'm afraid we're going to get complaints from other employees who feel like they are also in the same position and have not been able to take this leave. So I just worry about that. You know, I want to treat them fairly, but I do understand the intent, so I support this. I'm not sure if this has been reviewed by legal either, but I'll support it for now.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to speak to that? If not, yes, Senator Shelton, please.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I do also support the amendment. I know many of our agencies were asking for help like this for their employees who were not able to take their leave this year and coming back from PCOR 1 didn't want to see a big struggle with their employees all wanting to take leave at one time. And I'm very understanding of that. However, I think right now we're addressing just our frontline workers who, as we've heard from the other agencies, have been working 7 days a week, no breaks, absolutely no time to take any of their leave. And so this makes a lot of sense at this time. I think if it's something to address at a later time for other agencies, other agencies in the government, it can come in a separate bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Does anyone like to speak on this? I'm looking for hands. I see no hands. We will move to vote. I don't think, Madam Speaker, you need a close on this one. It's very simple.
No, sir, just to help them out, please call for the vote.
Thank you. Joe, let's call for the vote. And please be reminded, my colleagues, Senator Kelly still hasn't hooked up, so we're gonna have to authorize her if she doesn't come on by the end of the vote, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Joe?
Chair. Just update on Senator Kelly. She is moving to another location for the purposes of adequate internet service. And so on the motion proffered by Speaker Munya Barnes, Chairman San Agustin.
Chairman
San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajal.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajal, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Ungan.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Ungan.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Ungan, por favor.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Theresa Talahi.
Okay.
Senator Theresa Talahi, aye. Senator Piro Talahi.
Ungan, por favor.
Senator Piro Talahi, aye. Senator Kelly March Taitano. Senator Castro.
Stand by, Senator Lee.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. Should she not be able to log on by the end of the vote, I'd like to just make a motion to excuse members not present.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, no objection.
Thank you. Is there any objection to that motion?
No objection.
And we can skip the vote on that one. We're all in agreement. Thank you. Please move on, Joe.
Thank you. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Ungan.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Yes.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Ungan.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Senator March Taitano. Senator March Taitano, excuse. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 14 aye votes and 1 excused absence.
Thank you, my colleagues. The motion passes. It'll be engrossed onto the bill. Senator Shelton, please, your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a very simple amendment for page 134. This comes at the request of the Charter School Council. We did not bookmark their section, and so I'm placing it in the miscellaneous provisions of this bill and authorization for charter schools to utilize unexpended balances, the unexpended balances of appropriation from the general fund to the Department of Administration in support of the Guam Academy Charter Schools Council in FY 2020 shall not revert to the general fund and shall be available until fully expended for their original purposes for said appropriations. Now, Mr. Chair, as a lot of us may remember, in the beginning of our term, the Guam Charter School Council was not fully manned. There were many vacant positions and they were not able to meet quorum. So during this term, they finally were able to we confirmed members of the council, and now they're really getting to work, and so they have projects ongoing that they need these lapses for. They are currently working with the Office of Technology to establish an online repository for the school's communication, all of the charter schools, for their statutory reporting requirements. They now have an additional administrative assistant. We heard from prior hearings with the charter schools that this was a big issue for them. They weren't able to keep their documents. There was no administrative support for them, and they did not draw down on all of their funds during this fiscal year, and they did see a cut in their FY 2021 funds, and so it's very important for them to keep these lapses in 2021. So I ask my colleagues for their support of the council.
Thank you. Does anyone would like to speak to that? If not, Joe, let's move to vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment proffered by Senator Shelton, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rijal.
Aye. Sorry, aye.
Vice Chair, thank you. Vice Chair Rijal, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munya-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Terlahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Terlahi, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi.
Again.
Senator Pito Terlahi, aye. Senator Mars Taitano. Senator Mars Taitano, excuse. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Vice Speaker.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Aye.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Aye.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 14 ayes and 1 excused absence.
Thank you, my colleagues. The motion passes. It'll be engrossed in the bill. What other amendments we have, Joe, out there that's sitting while we're still waiting for Senator Kelly? Because once she gets down to the legislature, she has to still set up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My apologies. I did fail to mention that Senator Teresa Terlahi also has amendments for this section.
All right, Senator Teresa, right before we take a recess for all the colleagues. Ma'am, do you have something right now?
All right, thank you. So the First Amendment is labeled in the shared drive as SB 282 TMT L18, page 134, 3, parentheses 3. And that is to affect section 30 on page 134.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if we could just have her repeat that.
Sure. Okay. So it's uploaded on the chat now, and it's on, line 18, page 134, parentheses 3. That's the amendment in the drive. All right. So this is going to amend section 30 in the bill. And Section 30, this requires the alignment of hospital rates and fees. This was put into a previous budget bill to require Guam Memorial Hospital to submit a new fee schedule. It was common knowledge at the time that the hospital, not all of the hospital's fees were up even to meet the Medicare rates. And so that was, I think, the goal of this amendment. It was not mine in the last budget bill, but so the hospital has been trying to comply, but they've already had their statutory authority to, regularly review and increase their fees. They have hearings there at the hospital regularly to do that. And so they submit to us whenever that happens and that they have fee increases. However, they have decided to hire a consultant who is going to begin in October to do an entire review of all the fees at the hospital. And so they have asked that this deadline for that type of fee review be extended until the end of December. And so I've given them until January to actually have the board meeting approve it and submit it. So the amendment is to strike the words that say within 60 days upon the effective date of this act, and to add upon the completion of a fee study. And then of course it changes, and then I add the words by January 31, 2021. And nothing herein will affect GMHA's authority to regularly adopt or increase fees.
Thank you, Senator Therese. Great. Give them the authority to do what they need to do. I appreciate that. Does anyone would like to discuss that? There being none, Senator Therese, please, do you need a closing on that one?
No.
All right, let's move the vote. Joe, let's do the roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment, excuse me, as proffered by Senator Therese Talahi, Chairman San Agustin.
Good.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Ungan.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Ungan.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Therese Talahi.
Again.
Senator Therese Talahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi.
Ungan.
Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator Mars Taitano.
Excuse.
Senator Mars Taitano, excuse. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, excuse. I'm sorry, aye. Senator Moreland.
Aye.
Senator Moreland, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Paris.
Again.
Senator Paris, aye. Senator Torres.
Yes.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Again.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 14 ayes and 1 excused absence.
All right, thank you. Thank you, my colleagues. That motion passes. It'll be engrossed into the budget bill. Senator Therese, you have a short one before we do a recess. I think you have the appropriation one right before we recess, please.
All right, and so I have several after that also. So this one is labeled SB 282 TMT page 134 parentheses 2. So this is to add a new section to 134 to read carryover of appropriation to Guam Memorial Hospital Authority pursuant to Public Law 35-36. The appropriation in Public Law 35-36, that should be 36, the fiscal year 2020 Budget Act of $10 million to the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority Capital Improvement Fund shall carry over until fully expended. As you know, this is we tried to appropriate the excess revenues from 2019 because they were tracking very high at the time when we were in 2020 budget deliberations. And this amount has been testified by DOA and BBMR that it has not been deposited to date. GMH has not seen the benefit of that. And we've seen since then the Army Corps of Engineers recommendations that urgent repair need to be done at the hospital, regardless of whether we're going to build one or not. We need to fix the roof. We need to fix other items at the hospital. These are critical for patient safety. And of course, we all know what the hospital is going through with COVID. And so I just want to ensure that this is not going to be ignored, and we're going to put it again into this budget bill, carry it over until they comply and they make this the priority, because we've got, nurses and doctors fighting for our lives up there. And I want to do everything we can to support them, Mr. Chair. Thank you to my colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Reese, and I fully support that. Does anyone else would like to speak to this amendment? There being none, we do a roll call. Joe, let's take the roll call. Let's vote. All right, Senator Reese, did you want to close on that one? Okay, Joe, let's do the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment proffered by Senator Teresa Lahi, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye. Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munoz Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi. Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano.
She said she's trying to log on right now. Do you see her, Joe?
We don't see her on the Zoom, but yes, we did get her message. I will skip her if that's okay. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Yes.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Again.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Is she logging? No. Okay. We still don't have Senator Marsh logged in. However, she did message.
Okay. All right. Let's continue, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Senator Marsh Taitano excused. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 14 ayes and 1 excused absence.
All right. Thank you, my colleagues. We'll recess for 1 hour. I hope that's sufficient for everybody. We'll be back hopefully by 12. And Senator Reese, we'll come back for you to complete your last amendment that I see, okay?
I have 3 more.
Oh, you have 3 more after that.
Yes.
Okay, there's Senator Kelly. We're gonna recess. We'll be back at 12, okay? Thank you for going back to your office.
I knew it was going to work out like that.